The Highline Racing League has stuck together for 13 years. Tonight, we enter our 18th season, and we descend upon the virtual Daytona International Speedway not only for 70 laps of amazing racing, but to commemorate the life of Courtney Baadte. Born March 26th of 1990, Baadte was diagnosed in May of 2020 with stage 4 colon cancer. In a multi-year battle with the disease, Baadte was, for the most part, able to survive until this point. And only a month ago, we lost Baadte at the age of 34 years old. The Highline Racing League, more than anything else, is much more than simply a racing league. It is also a family of drivers and friends and a community that has stuck together through thick and thin since 2011. Tonight, the Highline Racing League comes together and we stand against cancer. Welcome to the CourtneyStrong 175. We are excited to bring back racing, and we extend our deepest condolences to the Baadte family in their period of mourning. We hope, of course, that throughout the entire season, we can honor her life, and from this point onward, of course, celebrate the Baadte family for their crucial role in supporting the Highline Racing League and extending its success to this very day. I entered the Highline Racing League as the broadcaster in Season 14, and Dylan Baadte made the transition to this series as easy as it could be. Unfortunately, Dylan will not be racing with us to open the season, and we hope that, of course, as time goes on, we'll have him once again in the driver's seat, hopefully ready and able to perform at the highest level here in this series. We are excited to be back, and of course, we race tonight with heavy hearts. Good evening. Welcome back to Daytona. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Qualifying has gotten on its way with 1.5 minutes overall recorded, and it is a record field. 40 drivers have taken to the high banks of Daytona International Speedway and are looking to put their best foot forward as the Highline Racing League returns better than ever. Many things are different, but so much has remained the same, and we are excited once again to present some of the most exciting virtual racing in all of the world. Qualifying on the move, no driver has set a time so far, and it looks like shooting up to the top of the board first will be Matthew Rodriguez. For the first time here at Daytona, we have once again decided to go for traditional qualifying. Duels have been used in previous seasons. We're doing things a little bit differently now with Season 18 in mind, and we look to, of course, find a brand new pole sitter, as now times are being taken en masse. 16 drivers with a lap already and more due to come. Matthew Rodriguez now sits in 7th with Toby Wedgwood up to the top of the board. We'll talk more throughout the entirety of the event about the cause for this race and how it will impact the season and the broadcast from this point onward. At the top of the board going to be now Toby Wedgwood with rookie Dylan Barons in 2nd, Alan Kunman in 3rd, and Scott Wheeler position number 4. 5th place is then going to go to Kenny Brooks as Alan jumps up in a 2nd here, and still times are being taken rapidly. 31 drivers with a lap so far, and now going to make it 32 as Matthew Rodriguez and Connor Holden fight up into the front row. It's going to be a mix of drivers from top to bottom, some of which we've seen before, some of which coming in for their first ever appearance, which will make everything that much more exciting. Here's Colton Gardner. He just jumped up to 33rd. Seb Miller is coming from the Integrity Ignite series, and the number 83 is in 34th. So many drivers you might be familiar with, some of which gained their first chance in this series and in professional sim racing, or amateur sim racing, shall we say, but the lights are as bright as it is in professional competition. The Highline Racing League has been, of course, well known for providing exciting sim racing for the newest of drivers and those of veterans. Seb Miller jumps up to the pole position, 18 1/1000ths of a second. Dylan Poteet going to be 3rd, Terry Brooks in 4th. Top 5 concluded by Derek Fowler with Ryan Potter now jumping up top, and it's going to be the number 99 of Ryan Potter making his move up to the top of the board. His teammate DJ Stagner has won at this season opener 2 seasons in a row, but the 99 is going to strike first first. And now with 45 seconds remaining in qualifying, we'll see if anyone can strike last. Caleb Morrissey going to be on the way in the number 6 machine. Let's see what he's got in store in the Channel Lock Ford Mustang. A lot of struggles throughout last season, but of course, turning a new leaf here in season 18. Very possible. Let's see, of course, what he can make of it. Morrissey right now going to be 35th. Robert Kenny going to be 38th and on pit road. Doesn't look like he'll be looking for any additional laps. And right now as the track is clearing out, qualifying appears to be concluded. By 5/1000ths of a second, it will be Ryan Potter up to the pole position to kick off season 18 from the front row. The 99 of Potter and the 83 of Sebastian Miller. And so now, Daytona International Speedway. The sun has continued to set, and we descend upon the track for 70 laps now of hard-fought racing, and it all begins at the front row. Let's take a look at your starting grid from top to bottom tonight and get the effect of who's who on the field. It is one of the biggest in Highline history. From front to back, you can see it is a stout pack. Some drivers who are very familiar with this series, some of which getting their first chance. Let's take a look top to bottom from the starting grid here in Daytona. Pole position going to be Ryan Potter and Sebastian Miller in second, with third place then occupied by Matthew Rodriguez, former pole sitter for this race 2 seasons ago, and Dylan Ponte going to be in fourth. Fifth place then going to be given to Terry Brooks, with Derek Fowler in the number 53 in sixth. Seventh spot going to be Jimmy McKee. Eighth place, Chad Winstead, your defending champion. And ninth spot going to be Connor Holden, with J.R. Houston rounding out the top 10. 11th place is going to be Corey Blevins, and 12th goes to Alan Kunman. 13th position is Caleb Morrissey, with Ty Smith in 14th. P15 on the order going to be Adam Bozzi, and Jacob Hom is in the 16th place, with then 17 and 18th rookie Dawson Buchanan and Dalton Veer in 18th. 20th, the halfway point is going to be Kendall Kerr, with Casey Heschel just one spot ahead in 19th. And we look just alongside Lucas Lodato for 21st. It's 22nd, Scott Zellner. 23rd place going to be Brad Kresk, with 24th, Kenny Brooks. And it's 25th place to Toby Wedgwood and his brother Dylan right there in 26th. 27th place going to be Dylan Barons, and Michael Deitch will be in 28th. 29th and 30th, Austin Bloom and Jason Harris. 31st goes to Roberto Ramirez, with Scott Wheeler, the season 14 champion, starting today in 32nd. It's 33rd then to Tyler Snyder and Matt Owens in 34th, the rookie in the 11. Colton Gardner, it's going to be then and there in 35th. 36 goes to Mike Tellier, and finally you'll see Matt Muir, Robert Kenny, DJ Stagner, Tyler Hampton, and 41st, Scott Puckett. The biggest field in Highline Racing League history here at Daytona. It's ready to get into full speed action tonight. Ryan Potter up in front, and ironically, his teammate DJ Stagner finds himself all the way at the back. Tonight, you'll see drivers getting a little bit more time during their pace laps rather than traditional. We have 2 pace laps on the circuit. Now, coming around the back straightaway here and now, you might see some drivers making their way up to the top of the circuit, rushing down the back straightaway. A 3-wide salute will be done to kick off tonight's race. The entire field tonight, in solidarity with standing against colon cancer and in commemoration of Courtney Baadte, has decided to pull together for multiple factors tonight. 3-wide standing start. You'll notice the overall timing ticker, almost all black throughout tonight's event, and many drivers riding tonight with Courtney Baadte stickers from top to bottom. Pole sitter Ryan Potter has been running them week after week in the Integrity Ignite series, and many a driver will be keeping a Courtney sticker on throughout the entirety of the campaign. You can see one on Ryan Potter's right now. While it looks like it's going to be a little bit more obscure than other drivers, throughout the field, most drivers are carrying a black, blue, or white sticker regardless of color. The same meaning is given. Everyone in the field here knows the importance of celebrating the life of Courtney Baadte. And tonight, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about this season. The Highline Racing League family, it is back. And if it isn't as strong as it's ever been, we don't quite know what could be stronger. 3 wide at the line, Potter your pole sitter, and up top there's Dylan Poteet with Seb Miller right in the middle. Racing with a heavy heart, the field knows tonight, this is perhaps one of the most important races in league history. 13 years that we mentioned, the Highline Racing League has been put together. It's been on FTN now for the better part of 2 years, and we've gotten to see the league continue to grow with its level of competition. Drivers from all throughout the iRacing world, from the east coast of New York all the way down to California and everywhere beyond out of states, they've come to this circuit, they've come to this league, and they've found a community, they've found that family, and they have found that purpose. That's why the Highline Racing League has persisted longer than almost every sim racing league, professional, amateur, or otherwise. There is a connection here, and all the drivers have known each other for quite a while, and more than that, they have found themselves as friends, as people that can be trusted upon in one another's circumstances, and in large part, that's what kept this team together, even despite personal challenges, such as what we, of course, drive with our minds on for this event. And Daytona, where else but one of the biggest venues in all of the Americas for motorsport racing, 2.5-mile circuit. And tonight, everyone will go all out. We're 2x2 once again with a lap of pacing remaining, and the iRacing official pace car will descend down to pit road as we are due to begin with just one more lap of pacing until the green flag drops. Tonight is filled with a field of former champions, race winners, and some drivers you might have seen on FTN with some success who have never gotten it done at this track. Tonight, the World Center of Racing is up for grabs, and the field has many a chance to go for it. 70 laps on the table, 175 miles. That's what it could take to get to victory lane. Overtimes are still not completely out of the question, but it's very unlikely if this field stays as close as it's been to perfect green flag racing all throughout its existence. We most likely will not get there. Ryan Potter has been looking for a chance to escape the bottom of the overall points ranking and the overall bottom of the running order for quite a while now. He's been alongside his multi-time race-winning champion DJ Stagner, a former champion who knows what it's like to win from a week-in, week-out basis. And while he's starting at the back tonight, DJ never fails to find a way to begin these seasons with a bang. Tonight, though, it's in the helm of Ryan Potter and the number 99 team to maybe do it on their own for Swamp Motorsport. He'll be up there alongside Seb Miller. Miller additionally races for another major part of the HLRL family, SP Motorsports, led by Scott Puckett. And right now, the 83 is going to be accompanied by 3 other teammates as the race goes on, but none of which got the advantage in qualifying, much like Sebastian did. Matthew Rodriguez, Dylan Poteet, series sponsor Terry Brooks. Then there's Derek Fowler. The top 10 is star-studded, from champions to winners to rookies, the drivers you might have never seen before in the sim. It all comes together tonight, and for the perfect reason. We commemorate the life of Courtney Baadte for 175 miles and beyond. The iRacing official pace car will drop down a pit road and give Ryan Potter the keys to the race. Inside line gonna have the jump with a 99, your control car. Welcome to season 18. We are all out in the Highline Racing League. The green flag drops here in Daytona. Ryan Potter and Sebastian Miller lead the field on this opening lap. Potter is going to have the honor of opening up this series with that lead lap at the front of the field, and so we move on to lap number 2. It looks like now going to be 2x2 racing at the head of the field. Most drivers deciding not to be all too aggressive and instead keeping calm up in front. Top 20 right now going to be shuffling up and down. Keep an eye on those intervals today because it looks like the majority of the field is separate by only, give or take, 4 seconds. Not much of a gap. Overall, you'll see a lot of drivers remaining 2x2. Maybe one driver a little bit further on back going 3 wide. That will be Alan Kunman. But everyone else for now looks to be deciding instead to stay where they are. Don't look too concerned about making any rash moves. It's all about holding forward for the long haul. That's the way it's going to stay. Up top is still going to be Matthew Rodriguez with Seb Miller. 2x2 is going to prevail. There's Jimmy McKee. Jimmy still chasing his first championship. Of course, with the Xfinity car, he found himself a championship contender in season 15 when Alan Kunman won it all. And McKee's come back for a little bit more tonight. And you'll see he's got a few drivers around him, notably rookie Derek Fowler, not to mention the number 24 of Corey Blevins and Connor Holden, and the number 1 of Chad Winstead. Winstead able to break out into a race winner multiple times over the past few years, getting his first ever championship last season against the likes of, among others, Scott Zellner and number 5 of Tyler Hampton. Now tonight, Winstead coming in with a little bit more of perhaps pressure on him to continue succeeding. He's shown before that he has what it takes to pull everything together for a race win. But now, here at Daytona, of course, anyone can take it through for the checkered flag. Most likely going to see a lot of that conservative style of racing as you see right now as the field continues to log laps early. Going to decide, rather than getting involved in any trouble, keep on going lap after lap until it's all said and done. The first half of this race might be run in this condition as nobody wants to get involved in a massive wreck. You might remember last season or the season prior, either we talk about the Gen 4s or the Xfinity cars of last season, that massive wrecks, they drastically changed the way this race went. And DJ Stagner was able to win in both of those races. Let's take a look at where DJ is right now. He's in 40th and last of all drivers on the track. So it's going to take a lot from DJ Stagner to make his way up because tonight he's going to be starting on the back foot. Gap to the leader, additionally, it has not grown, but it is still quite the big difference. 3 seconds here at Daytona. It's almost the opposite of another circuit where 3 seconds isn't a lot. 3 seconds is an eternity here at this track. The drafting window is maybe a second and a half if you're lucky. DJ's getting strung down by multiple drivers to stay in the mix here, and he's taking the approach of lying back, staying barely in the draft, and as opposed to being a little bit more aggressive, he'll let everyone else do his bidding for him, and it looks like that's going to be the successful call for now as Ryan Potter once again leads to the line, and he's got there with them Sebastian Miller, Terry Brooks, Dylan Pote, Jimmy McKee, Derek Fowler and company, all of which are going to hang behind. And here you see Corey Blevins still toe-to-toe with number 1 of Chad Winstead. Number 6 of Caleb Morrissey also going to be up in here. Morrissey's last victory came in season 15 at the Talladega SuperSpeedway. 2-time race winner on FTN Highline Racing League coverage, both of which coming in season 15, Nashville and Talladega. And right now for the channel lock number 6, troubles with a Gen 4 car and overall didn't show up too well with the Xfinity cars last season either. Caleb is looking to find his way back up to that upper realm of contention where he was in season 15, in which he found himself a multi-time winner and a real championship threat. He was more of a dark horse that season, but that's a great status to have with the level of competition seen in this field. Jimmy McKee, the coach, is now making his way up into the top 5 out of Mattoon, Illinois. It's the number 48 of Jimmy McKee riding up inside the top 5, and he's got Dylan Poteet right there beside him. 2x2, and it looks like this is the highest spot Jimmy's running all night long. From 7th up to 5th, McKee's making his way in with a slightly different, albeit bolder paint scheme for Mattoon High School in Illinois. The number 48 representing tonight once again with the colors of his high school, and looking like so far doing a pretty good job at that. Finds himself just behind Terry Brooks in that number 23, and Brooks is up inside the podium. A rather quick ascent that puts him up in race-winning contention. And furthermore, further back, you see Kenny Brooks in the number 54. Kenny, we have to look a little bit further back for, finding himself in the middle of the field, but not doing a bad job at that. And looks like right now, as the pack goes on, you'll see the number 54 hanging in there at the tail end. 2x2 is going to be still the status quo for the field. Scott Wheeler right now going to find himself maybe a little bit further on back compared to those who are running that traditional strategy, but he's got every reason to right now. The number 97 also going to be running in the back, similar to what DJ Stagner is doing, and he's going to instead continue to wait. Patience is going to be pivotal to his success tonight, especially with that qualifying run. Got a better run than DJ Stagner. Admittedly, he was able to put himself up inside of the top 35. And 32nd doesn't do you all too much, and so much of the field has that natural advantage of more track position. And now Jimmy McKee going to fall out of the way rather quickly. It looks like it's going to be DJ Stagner up just ahead of Scott Wheeler for only a brief moment, only to fall back. And season 14 champion, the two-time champ at that, well, he finds himself now in 37th, still with the way to go. He's got a few full-time rookies just ahead. Michael Deitch in the number 17, who you might have seen in the Schumacher Racing League, Iora, Forel, or other FTN series. Well, Henry Kaloff Racing, the team he is in for this season, well, they're debuting for the very first time in this series. Of course, for right now, Michael Deitch does have some experience to fall back on in this league, but never with HKR backing, and so with team support, Michael Deitch and the number 17 crew have made their way into the picture 10 laps in, running in 36th. He started 28th and has fallen back rather quickly as well, and multiple drivers running that sort of patient strategy, hoping that it will prevail as the night goes on. Emma Ox going to be rooting for the number 27 of Adam Bozzi, and Bozzi going to find himself very close to the top 15. He's in 17th as it stands, running side by side with the likes of, and this is not an all-inclusive list, Dylan and Toby Wedgwood, Scott Zellner, Matt Muir, Dawson Buchanan, Mike Tellier, and KC Heschel. So to say the least, a lot of good drivers, that is for certain. Adam Bozzi, multi-time race winner throughout season 16 and a French championship contender for the early portion of season 17, has returned again. Highest points finish came second to Scott Zellner in that Gen 4 season where, admittedly, Bozzi came out of nowhere, was able to get back-to-back victories in the middle of the campaign, culminating in dominance at Martinsville and Darlington. Ever since that point, though, Bozzi's been chasing the same level of success that immediately propelled him into becoming a championship favorite that year. Wasn't able to find it last season. Scott Wheeler, of course, one of the many who also tried to look for it, but it was eventually Scott Zellner who got closest to Chad Winstead again. And while Bozzi is not running with the Four Horsemen and instead rolls with the Queen City Racing crew, right now he's in 18th, as low as 19th, as high as 14th. The spread has been rather consistent for Adam Bozzi, and it looks like right now he has nothing to complain about, and he will stay exactly where he is. Looks like even in the middle of the pack, where drivers are substantially closer, they're racing pretty well. Patience is going to be key no matter where you are in the field, and I think that's a principle that comes with the experience these drivers have. Even for the rookies right now, they are learning firsthand. Toby Wedgwood is perhaps the antithesis to all rookies. Wedgwood, the overall league owner, has been with us since the beginning here, and Toby finding himself now inside the top 20. He runs best at these super speedway circuits, was able to find himself a few top 10s over the course of seasons 16 and 17, but tonight, with the level playing field in mind, don't deny Toby the chance to move up there, because he and Dylan Wedgwood might shock some drivers who have a chance to maybe work together as the night progresses. Dylan Wedgwood is one of the many examples of progression through the Highline Racing League developmental ladder, and among Dylan Wedgwood, one of his peers runs just a few spots behind him. 17th place, Lucas Lodato. Lucas finds himself as one of the more versatile drivers in the iRacing platform as a whole. He has seen success success and experience in leagues such as the Virtual Racing League, the VRL crew broadcast by P1 Broadcast, among other networks. He got invited just a few weeks ago to race a VCO event, one of the top, most prestigious open wheel circuits all throughout iRacing, and he was invited into that series for an event at Road America. The number 7 Machine Lodato, well, he's back in the stock cars again. He was rapid fast in the truck series, able to get that early promotion in season 16 to premier competition, and now, well, season 17 and 18, he proved it, winning in Montreal in season 17, and now, moving onward and upward, he's looking for a chance to continue that breakout. So Lucas Lodato runs there alongside Matt Muir. J.R. Houston in number 20 is registered as a full-time entry. However, it's an interesting circumstance for J.R. His sim rig is registered full-time more than anything else. He and Ryan Hines will be sharing the cockpit this season. Ryan will be competing under the number 25 banner and J.R. under the number 20. Rest assured, for the sim rig anyway, that will get all the points together. However, the drivers will be split up under 2 part-time banners and effectively will compete as one team that alternates the driver week in and week out. It's almost like you see the rotational drivers in stock car racing in the real world. Maybe you don't see full-time examples anymore, but the most realistic I can think of is something like Rick Ware Racing, where sponsorship, well, it doesn't determine the driver in this case, but instead it's more so rotating through a pair of drivers to ensure that the field is kept together week in, week out. Expect J.R. Houston to come around for half the season and Ryan Hines to also stick around all throughout, both of which will be very firm competitors. JR has seen that top 5 pace previously, and Ryan Hines as well, both of which looking for that race-winning breakout, but we talk of race victories as if they're easy to grab here in the Highline Racing League. That is not the case at all. It's quite the opposite in all honesty, and I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging this season. 16 laps in out of 70, the only guarantee on the schedule this season is Daytona. There is no other race guaranteed. We are running a brand new system, and that is randomizing the schedule. A schedule randomizer will be introduced for season 18, and in all honesty, the big question becomes whether or not this will work out for the drivers. It's going to be tricky, of course, right now for the very first time, drivers seeing a schedule that isn't traditional by any means. Take a look right now. Daytona is a guarantee. That's no question. However, look at everything else. We have different types of tracks, unique tracks, cookie cutters, short tracks, road courses, super speedways, and even dirt. Going to be something else that we have not seen before. And now these drivers have to figure out how they can adapt without having the opportunity to sort of practice. Whether or not, of course, it's going to be possible to get the advantage, maybe the goal is that no driver will. There's a lot of different tracks bundled up in the same banner. Chicagoland, Darlington, Dover, Homestead, Indianapolis. Those are all considered unique tracks, completely different to one another. This will allow for perhaps more fair racing and less advanced competitive advantage. Whether or not that's going to help out anyway, that's the question here, because these drivers are well versed in stock car racing, and there's Seb Miller going down to the inside with Dylan Poteet. They're going to be 2x2 again, but overall, the lead battle has been, for the most part, quite the casual one. 41 drivers have taken to the track tonight, 40 of which started the race, and 41st, Scott Puckett, decided to kick this one off a little bit later. Nevertheless, he's still with us here, and the pack is complete. 19 laps in out of 70, and so far it's going to be Seb Miller and Dylan Poteet, first and second, with Terry Brooks then in third. In the opening quarter of this race has gone by without any incident, except for what happened earlier with Jimmy McKee, but it looks like Jimmy was able to put himself back together, and as you can see, is in the field riding alongside the likes of DJ Stagner and Michael Deitch. DJ in the number 64 going to drop up to the high side once again, losing position, but of course taking it up high, looking for some clean air. And whether or not this strategy works out remains to be seen. Now, talking about the past two races in particular, DJ Stagner last season did something we didn't quite expect and something that now isn't exactly possible anymore. He swept opening week in the Highline Racing League, won at Daytona in a photo finish in the Premier Series, and got away from a 20-plus truck wreck in the Culture Designs Truck Series. Something, of course, that we have never seen before and might not again. DJ Stagner has found success at Daytona unlike any other driver, and I think his big trick has been avoiding those wrecks, and he's preparing himself adequately to do so tonight. I think that's exactly what's going to get him back to victory lane if he can make up 36 positions. Still a lot of time for him to do so, but he started in 39th and has only gained 2 spots in these opening 20 laps. To say it's impossible is completely false. To say it's likely, I also think is completely false as well. But anything can happen as Dylan Poteet now gets his chance up in front, and Dylan's going to be leading from Seb Miller now, getting his first taste up and the front. He's got himself now ahead of many drivers on the inside line and a few less on the outside. Looks like double lane blocking going to be relatively uncommon, and now that we have the field very well put together, 21 laps in, we are about 10 to 15 laps away from pit road opening up for what could be a half-and-half strategy. Let's take a ride on board now with 4th place man Matthew Rodriguez and see what's going on inside the cockpit for a lap. And taking it aboard, Matthew Rodriguez here for a lap. You can see while the outside line looks to be clear in his advantage, only for Terry Brooks to block up, the pushing is the biggest factor right now. And getting those big pushes will allow for more success because these drafting lines are reliant on teamwork. Maybe you're not driving for the same team as the drivers around you, but you need help. Even if you don't know the drivers all too well, pushing is what makes these lines quick. It's what makes these lines work. Looking at driver telemetry right now for Dylan Poteet in the number 31. You can see right now the speed he's heading into the corners at and whether or not he's on the throttle. Estimates are showing that he's on and off the throttle, but that's most likely inaccurate due to the fact he's not gaining all too much speed. What's really happening right now is instead he's flat-footed. He's up in front, no reason for him not to be on the pedal fully, and instead he's got himself now pressing the gas hard, and he's got multiple drivers around him who might actually being feathered in the throttle in this instance, getting up to a high of officially 188 miles an hour before going into turns 1 and 2. Sebastian Miller will tell you a little bit of a different story. Seb Miller right now going to find himself once again, similar speed, 188 miles an hour, give or take, now getting up to 189, but it's very unlikely that he's actually fully on the throttle. Rather than plowing right into the number 31 of Poteet and sending him around spinning, instead, we see a little bit of a different approach, getting close down the straightaways, backing up through the corners, and of course going for it all over again down the front straightaway. You can't imagine that these drivers have the stability in these cars to push at more than 180 miles an hour while being through a corner with more than 30 degrees of banking here in Daytona. It just simply can't happen. So instead, drivers end up less tethered together, giving each other more space. Speaking of space, we need some right now. Here are a few lappers. Scott Puckett ends up way high, and this is going to be a risky job because the other lapper in the picture looks like that would be Dylan Barons decides to go low. Scott Puckett, he's up top. I don't know what's going to happen here, but the field's got to be very careful as they make it by the number 36. There's Wedgwood making it by, Mike Tellier, and it looks like now Robert Kenny going to make it by 2. Everyone gets through without much trouble. There's Kenny Brooks, as a matter of fact, and it looks like the number 36 of Scott Puckett now goes a total of 17 laps down at the line.
26 laps in out of 70 here, and it's going to be the number 36 of Puckett far and away in the last position. And number 31 of Dylan Poteet, still your leader. Two by two they remain. It looks like the outside line backing up in anticipation. The lappers coming through, giving Puckett space. And now 26 laps into this run, we are certainly now less than 10 laps away from seeing a pit road. Overall, let's talk about the numbers tonight. The fuel number in particular, it's not going to be limited, and drivers have the opportunity to go all throughout, splitting the stint 35 and 35 laps apiece. First 35 laps, of course, going to be on their way right now, and then we move on to the halfway point. Drivers come down to pit road and reset, refuel, and go at it one more time. 27 laps in out of 70, meaning most of these drivers have burnt up 3/4 or so of their overall fuel mileage, and they're going to come down and in with weather conditions that have most likely actually help these drivers. It is going to be partly cloudy skies, which can't be seen well because the sun has fully set. Partly cloudy at a 76-degree ambient temperature, and the track temp comes in tonight at 79 degrees. Winds are going to be northwest bound at 9 miles an hour, so overall, cool engines are going to allow for drivers to be all out. Tire temperatures shouldn't be much of a worry either. Fuel might be the defining factor in how these drivers hope to make something work out throughout this event. Maybe we'll see some drivers, instead of potentially going more aggressive on this stop, they're going to lie back and choose to go in with a smaller group. Big groups cause a lot of trouble. 28 laps in out of 70. So far, though, this 40-car pack has been nothing but clean and well adjusted to the circuit around them. Matthew Rodriguez going to be right up there inside the top 10. Most of these drivers have been here since the jump. Let's take a look at the overall biggest movers of the day so far. 14th up to 5th. That's going to be Ty Smith. He is one of the biggest jumpers. He's made it up a total now of 8 spots. 22nd up to 12th. Scott Zellner. Dylan Wedgwood. 26th up to 13th. Dylan prioritized the moving quick and moving early, and he made it up 13 positions. Did a great job at that. Now, a few other drivers who have honorable mentions. 37th up to 18th. Nearly 20 positions of an increase. Shout out to Matt Muir in the number 70. He has done the perhaps greatest of jobs. He's made it exactly halfway throughout the pack under green, and now finds himself running up top in the 18th position, and he is strongly, firmly anyway, in the tow. 21st to 17th is going to be Lucas Lodato. Toby Wedgwood is up 9 spots from 25th up to 16th. Now, it looks like a lot of drivers have been able to gain in the top 15, top 20 range, but the top 10 is still largely determined by if you started there, you are there. The only exception is Jimmy McKee. He was in 7th, he's now down to 34th, and there's very unlikely possibility that he gets up here without pit cycling. But right now, it's definitely going to be much harder because he finds himself several seconds behind. Ty Smith able to take that spot. A little bit of a shuffle here, and it's going to be bogged down. Terry Brooks, Connor Holden, Matt Muir, contact! And they'll all save it. Now coming down to pit road, Robert Kenny decides not to commit. We're going to be much slower, but still racing. Oh, contact again! Mike Tellier, does he come up? No, he does not! We're still green! Oh, but the pack is almost entirely destroyed on a series of what-ifs. What a series of events there. And we're still green. Nobody has gone around. Oh, this is going to be a completely different race here. Take a look back at that one. Let's get an eye in the sky on this incident. Mike Tellier with one of the most violent shakeups there. But let's take a look up at the front of the field for an instant replay on what we just saw. You're watching as we take a look a full lap back here. What just happened? Matthew Rodriguez stacks up, and it looks like this is where it begins. Mind you, you have Rodriguez right up in the mix. He slows down. There's Terry Brooks, Derek Fowler, contact there. Dylan Wedgwood almost makes it into Lucas Lodato. This is where we think the contact is surefire. And you can see Mike Tellier coming right up. Matt Muir got a piece, and the 07 of Mike. Scott Wheeler gets right into him, hooks him, takes him down the track. Mike saves it. And above all else, the rest of the field is able to come through scot-free, even though, wow, we were almost completely destroyed. The field keeps it together, and so we stay green. Now it's going to be Ty Smith up to the front of the field, and still we race. So, Ty Smith, Ryan Potter, Dylan Poteet, among the very few and far between that made it out of this one unscathed. Taking a look at the overall intervals, 10 drivers got through. J.R. Houston, the last of which. Dylan Wedgwood is now part of pack number 2, and pack 2 has the potential to catch up to pack number 1. Pack 2 goes from 11th down to 16th. Matt Muir's the last driver in it. Then there's Austin Bloom, who's in what we will call pack number 3. Pack 3 is a second and a half off of pack 2. It's a big pack, and they're single file. Maybe everyone can get together, but I doubt it's going to happen before pit road gets busy. Yup, you'll see the signal now. Now it's going to be Jimmy McKee, Alan Cunman, and it looks like right there with Brad Kress and Kendall Kerr, Blacktop Racing will lead DJ Stagner in. And so the 4-car crew is going to make their way through as the first big move down to pit road tonight. Now it looks like pit road getting busy with the first stoppers. Seb Miller, Ty Smith, and company up in front are going to have to watch out for what their next call will be. It looks like the number 18, Ty Smith, has the opportunity up in front to lead. He's got Dylan Poteet pushing. Watch out for pack number 2 as well. Do they decide to go in? That's also the question. Dawson Buchanan there in the number 4 machine with Robert Kenny and Matt Muir. Watch out for this tail end. The call as they come around looks to be a resounding no. Blacktop Racing went in early, brought in a few others with them, but otherwise, rest of the field hasn't quite decided to go for it. 35 laps in at a 70. We're coming up to the halfway point this time by, and something else to note. According to Alan Cunman anyway, there will be prizes for moments throughout the race. They'll be given in the form of iRacing credits. Halfway lap is also going to get one of those bonus points, so maybe Ty Smith now going to defend a little bit harder on Dylan Poteet, as Dylan is going to look a little bit low, but there's really nothing he can do here. 0-1 of Matthew Rodriguez goes up high. Derek Fowler does too. And the 18 of Ty Smith looks to comfortably make his way to the start-finish line again with 35 laps to go. Smith stays right there. Multiple drivers like Roberto Ramirez are looking low, but very few of which Colton Gardner also goes as Smith leads us down to the line with 35 laps to go. 36 laps then at a 70, and it looks like now that the second half is upon us. Opening of this race, it kicked off under green, and it has stayed that way since that point. Take a look on board now with Dylan Poteet in second as he pushes your leader. Right now, both drivers have full control over the field, and if they go down to pit road, expect an onslaught there with them. The leaders in pack number 1 have all of which not signaled in. Most drivers have decided to signal over voice chat tonight, but communications have been sparse, few and far between to say the least of it. And looks like the drivers who have stuck together now have done so simply because they've decided not to leave. It's not about being together right now for most of them, it's rather just finding drivers to get the draft off of. It's not about what you know at a track like Daytona. We often say it's about who you know, and I think that's proving true for maybe Scott Zellner and Caleb Morrissey. The Swamp Motorsports crew, dominant in the late stages, are now seeing the 4 horsemen up in front. There's Kendall Kerr. It looks like now he's coming through. Robert Kenny signals down to pit road, as does Matthew Rodriguez. Matthew comes in. Robert Kenny bobbles down to the bottom side to no avail, to no trouble. Everyone else looks like they make it in unscathed. Kenny Brooks slides in, but he'll be fine mostly anyway. Mike Tellier, Rob Kenny gonna both miss their stall, and overall minor incidents as we keep things going under green. Nobody else involved. Single car moments. We keep on going. 18 of Ty Smith, 31 of Dylan Poteet, Seb Miller going to be in the third, Caleb Morrissey fourth, and Scott Zellner in fifth. That's the top five as they run. Overall, it looks like this is going to be the long-running strategy. Perhaps not what we expected, but given the track conditions at Daytona, gave us an opportunity to go a lap or two further. So, Ty Smith now leads in a bundle of the field. He's got Ryan Potter, Seb Miller, among others, coming through. And there's Terry Brooks coming out. There's a few others making their way through. There's Dalton Beer in the 38. And there, indeed, Derek Fowler. Dylan Wedgwood drops in pit road without concern, as does Toby Wedgwood, and so the brothers make it in 1-2 apiece. Ryan Potter, how about him? And Connor Holden stating that he has blown the motor. His night will be over as a result. The 81 down and out of the way. Fortunate for Connor Holden there, as it looks like he's going to find himself 6 laps down, and you can see there the 81, nothing left in the tank. He looks to be now out of this event, as Caleb Morrissey is your net race leader. Now Caleb Morrissey going to come through. He's got Scott Zellner with him, Tyler Snyder and Austin Bloom. Looks like Scott Wheeler there too. And so Ty Smith now making his way back out, was scored in 6th. Oh, we got the 36 sliding. One driver going to be going, that's Scott Puckett. Nobody else involved. We stay green. Now the pack's going to be coming once again together, and it's going to be as big as they come. Looking at Ty Smith, looking at Dylan Poteet, looking at Roberto Ramirez. How about Ramirez, the driver who's been very quiet so far today in the opening half, 40 laps in out of 70. Well, it looks like now he's got himself in the picture to take the race lead, and also he's got there with him J.R. Houston coming across the stripe. Looks like a bit of a paint scheme swap. You might recognize that number 20 paint scheme for being on the 42, and Ramirez tonight with a new look. However, today, both of them strung together with 31 laps remaining, and as Caleb Morrissey is still going to be scored as the overall net leader, regardless of that pit stop. We'll see how long that lasts, as you can see him up and alone, and then there's Scott Zellner, then there's Scott Wheeler here. It's a tricky picture right now, as it looks like there's Ryan Potter and Seb Miller. Pit road, it changed quite a lot here, and now you'll see a majority of the pack is going to be spread out. Overall, the field is separate by 45 seconds as it stands from first down to 33rd. Caleb at the line, still your race leader, and holds the fort. Now, it looks like he's going to be caught up to rather quickly here, because when we say leading the race, we mean leading this massive pack. Caleb Morrissey might have the overall track position advantage. However, it's going to be vastly dissipated. Doesn't even matter if it's the multiple second lead. The mile-an-hour advantage right now is absurd for these drivers. Take, for instance, Jimmy McKee, who's gotten himself back up to 11th once again with that finesse to make it up here. Well, the gap between him and Caleb Morrissey has gone from 37 down to 3.3 seconds. Talk about a big difference. And it looks like it'll even become shorter this time by. At the line, Caleb Morrissey now going to be within the pack's reach, and it's going to be only about a 1/10 of a second advantage he had there. And here you have it. Ryan Potter now has the overall top spot. Potter going to be trailing Matthew Rodriguez, and it looks like Matthew going to be the final driver on the lead lap, just ahead of Potter there. Up top is going to go J.R. Houston with Roberto Ramirez with 29 laps remaining. And so now we see drivers once again splitting each other up, as the field has largely anyway come back together. And a fully assembled field took us a few laps to get to, but pit road should be out of the picture for the rest of the night. 29 laps to go means that every driver should be able to make it to the checkered flag from top to bottom. It looks like everyone is all set. Ryan Potter, Seb Miller, J.R. Houston, and Scott Zellner. That's the top 5 now, with, of course, a little bit of weaving and bobbing as everyone's 2x2 again. Expect a more aggressive second act. Even if we start the same way, we're not going to have the same finish. Scott Zellner, the all-time winningest driver in this series, the champion of Season 16 and the runner-up man of Season 17. Well, he got rather close to the championship, even though he started on a back foot last season, and he's once again came back for a chance to get the title in his own. Scott is one of the very few drivers, one of only one to have double-digit victories. He is in a league of his own when it comes to his overall success, and every season he's proven it's not only just the counting stats that have helped out, but it's also the fact that he has just remained consistently strong. His top 5 numbers, his top 10 numbers, they have not dissipated. And a matter of fact, the past 2 seasons have been some of his best work ever. And now Zellner, even as the field continues to grow, expand, and succeed as a whole, looks like he will still be with them as one of the veterans looking to hold fort as Highline Racing League continues to progress. He's got his teammate and Caleb Morrissey right there with Scott Wheeler also there as well, while Jacob Hom is going to find himself further back. 3 of the 4 horsemen are together tonight, and they are once again running at the head of the field, doing what they do best, fighting for the race win. 26 laps to go with J.R. Houston up and ahead there with Ryan Potter at the line, 3 wide for the race lead, and they got one man in the middle. That's going to be Ryan Potter. It looks like he's going to have himself a little bit more trouble trying to hold the fort. Not sure what's going to happen here as he gets caught up in the middle with nobody else around him. Well, for now anyway, it looks like they're going to give Ryan Potter a little bit of breathing room. Not much, but it should be just enough. Hopefully now there's a chance for things to progress in the favor of the 99 or the number 20, because J.R. Houston now gets slotted up high. And here comes Wheeler, Roberto Ramirez, in addition, Casey Heschel. Casey is going to be running one of the very few drivers still with the baseball theme paint schemes, which we brought to Kern County. A few other drivers like Kenny Brooks in the Kannapolis Cannonballers paint scheme. He'll be also running a similar look. And the 49 Heschel, well, you'll see, running the Dairy Daddies paint scheme, which was introduced last season when Chad Winstead got his first oval victory of the campaign, and that's what catalyzed his run to victory lane in the championship after getting that victory. It was a pivotal moment for the series, not only, of course, because of the race win, but also some great paint schemes that came out of it, and some drivers are still going to continue carrying those fantastic paint schemes to this day. We expect some more baseball paint schemes perhaps as the season goes on. We'll be coinciding our final races with, of course, the World Series. Morrissey loose, and he'll have to save it on his own. 25 laps to go, can't give in, and he will give up on keeping the spots he was in. He's still going to be inside the top 10, but Caleb drops down again. Number 6 of Caleb Morrissey, now going to be right beside J.R. Houston once more. Dylan Poteet in a number 31 machine is still going to be hanging tough as your leader on the outside groove right there alongside many others, including Ryan Potter. Matthew Rodriguez is the designated driver of the day. He's not fighting for the race lead, but he is in the race leading pack, and he's the one who controls that pack. The reason is he's a lead lapper by technicality. He's 1 lap down in all honesty. If a caution were to fly and he wasn't involved in it, yes, he'd be back with the lead lappers, but at the same time, doesn't mean he has himself in a really comfortable position, because when he gets passed, he will be passed, and they will treat him like he's out of this race. 23 laps to go this time by, and next time around, we're going to crank it up with 22 laps to go. The best cameras on the iRacing market are provided here by Track Cams for Gourmets. Visit trackcams22.com for more information about iRacing's leading camera provider with over 100 cars and tracks. No matter what car you race, no matter what tracks you race on, Track Cams for Gourmets has you covered. iRacing's premier camera provider, used by trusted broadcasting networks throughout the sim racing scene, and we hope you join the Track Cams family tonight and check out their website at trackcams22.com. Let's crank it up this time by from the World Center of Racing as we get loud from Daytona with 22 laps to go. 16 final laps here, and it comes down to double file racing at the head of the field, as it's been for the good majority of the night. Now, we were given the opportunity by DJ Stagner and the greater portion of Swamp Motorsports to perhaps get a word from the drivers during the green flag, and DJ Stagner, one of the drivers who has allowed us to get such a privilege to see what's going on truly inside the cockpit. Now, DJ has scored one lap down as it stands. However, he told us anyway he would like to get a word with us as the race goes on under green. So how about we speak to him? Swamp Motorsports has multiple drivers in the mix today, and DJ Stagner, one of which, right now, well, he might not be up there contending at the front of the field. He's certainly got a lot to keep looking forward to if something were to happen, such as a yellow flag. We'll have him in the broadcast booth momentarily as we move him up your way. We'll have DJ Stagner talk to, and maybe as the season goes on, we'll hear from drivers such as Ryan Potter. Potter said he's also additionally available, so perhaps we'll hear from him as the season continues to progress. And in a moment's time, we'll have DJ Stagner with you in the broadcast booth where he is right now. DJ, you find yourself one lap down right now, but in all honesty, a pretty different position for the last two season openers, but you're still in the pack here, so if something happens, you might have a good chance of evading it. How you feeling? And DJ Stagner checking in once again. You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had a little bit of lag there. I could barely understand you, but yeah, it's I got myself in a little bit of a bad situation early, and I missed my pit box, and I didn't even know where it was. I didn't even realize it. So yeah, right now the race is just trying to stay first car, one lap down. I'm fighting the 5 and the 70 of map mirror. So that's kind of my race right now, hoping we catch a yellow, avoid it, and just see how it cycles from there.
And tonight you started at the tail end of the field in 39th, and you found yourself making up a few spots, but I think you've been prioritizing, of course, escaping the chaos, which, contrary to last two seasons, we've been mostly clean anyway, as a few drivers run down to the apron. Everyone else has been just fine, so it's a little bit of a different racing attitude, which I find surprising because of how many drivers we have here. I'm sure it might have taken you for a surprise as well.
Yeah, big field like this and first race of the season, it's a feeling out process, and I honestly expected issues early, and the fact that they didn't happen is, it caught me a little off guard, to be honest. So my entire strategy was based on that. So we got a crash behind us.
And it looks like yellow flag is going to come out for the first time tonight. You're right about that. It's a massive wreck. DJ, stand by. Yellow flag, it is out, and it is going to be a huge one. Dawson Buchanan looks like the number 53 of Derek Fowler, among many others. And this changes everything. Wrecking the back, and this time around, we do not stay green. Caution will fly. There's Brad Kress, and many drivers are still getting out of this one. Let's take a look back to an instant replay. This is the first yellow flag of the day, and it comes rather late in the going. Take a look at this once again. And you'll see here, it'll involve many, including Dawson Buchanan. Looks like Alan coming right up there with Lucas Lodato. And so now, as the drivers come through, Terry Brooks going to stack up there with Adam Bozzi. Then Dylan Wedgwood, Tyler Hampton coming into the picture. And then Dylan Wedgwood comes down. Looks like the 53 going to get caught up into there's Fowler. Tyler Hampton T-boned there by Dawson Buchanan. Alan Cummins tries to get through, but to no avail. Lucas Lodato going to get tagged by Chad Winstead. Michael Deitch. Does he get through? No, he doesn't. Bad news overall. Lodato catches a piece, and so many other good drivers are all caught up in this one. There's Deitch, Kunman, the 88 of Jason Harris, Jacob Hom as well. It is a 10-car incident, I believe, and the yellow flag is out. So, with that being said, we still got DJ on the line here. We kind of left him hanging. DJ, now the caution has come out. What's the update in your situation? And it looks like as everyone heads down pit road, DJ, you're still on track. You got a copy once again?
Sure do. We able to stay out in front of the chaos, and got the lucky dog here. So We're gonna put 4 freshies on it, and we'll let her rip at this point and just see what happens.
Well, it looks like now much better chance to get up there in the mix. So before we let you go, DJ, any last thoughts?
You know, I think this right here is going to set up the rest of the race to be pretty dramatic. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes. It should be a fun time.
And we're looking forward to a good time from here as well. DJ Stagner coming through from 1 lap down to get the lucky dog. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
And DJ calling out that wreck for us. What a way to bring us to our first yellow flag. And admittedly, I am skeptical of it being our only. The problem with that being, of course, that we're going to head potentially to overtime territory. DJ gets the tires on. Sebastian Miller scored as your race leader. And tell you this much, we got a little bit of time in between the action. So we're going to go and thank our FTN partners who have brought the coverage to you and have made all of tonight's racing possible. Seb Miller, your race leader. And we'll be right back after the following messages from our friends who have brought the racing to you live on FTN. We'll be right back and you won't miss a thing.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Returning now in what's going to be a single-digit sprint. You can see 10 laps to go left on the board. When we go back green, there will only be 9 laps remaining here. And Sebastian Miller finds himself the race leader here in the CourtneyStrong 175. And what a way to open up the season, running so many green flag laps in succession. And so we've made it to this point. And it looks like most of the field unscathed. Still 27 drivers on the lead lap, and going back to guys like Stagner, Winstead, Wedgwood, and Terry Brooks to name just a few. It's a smaller field at the head now, but it is still majority of the pack running. 37 laps within 2 laps of your race leader. So it looks like, while very few drivers have officially lost hope, many still remain in the mix, looking for a chance to find victory lane. Don't count out anyone in that top 20 or maybe even a little bit further beyond. We did a dangerous thing in letting DJ Stagner get back on the lead lap, because now he's got a chance to once again go for his 3rd straight season opening victory. And we've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen again. He knows a thing or two about doing just that. If you've enjoyed the stream so far tonight, leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel live on FTN. I'd like to thank Clint Spillman, Emma Ox, Connor Holden, Hazardous, and Shelly Babinchak all stopping by and leaving their feedback and support. Now the number 83 of Sebastian Miller is looking to get it done on the biggest stage of the season. Inside line, going to once again have control for our first restart of season 18. Seb Miller gets away with 9 laps to go. Two by two and going to be stacked up quite largely from Kenny Brooks on back. Now you're going to see the leaders try to get away in a full-powered assault up through the front of the field. Dylan Poteet's got himself on the high side with some support now from Scott Zellner, the former champion, working with Dylan Poteet, who to this point in his career is a 2-time race winner. Last win coming in season 16 at the Phoenix Raceway. And although, of course, it's been a long time coming since he last saw success, tonight could be the time that he breaks out. Yellow flag in the air once again. Oh, it's a massive incident. Colton Gardner, Toby Wedgwood, among many others. And the caution's out for the second time. It looks like cautions breed cautions. Let's take a look back and figure out who was caught up in that one as we take an instant replay once again on the matter. This is getting tricky. And Toby Wedgwood is going to be involved in a multi-car incident, taking much of the field out. Let's count it out here. Kendall Kerr, and then Robert Kenny, Lucas Lodato, Matthew Rodriguez, Matt Muir, Alan Cummin, Brad Kress, J.R. Houston, Mike Tellier, and a little bit of Casey Heschel too. I'm looking at 9 drivers just in this cluster. And then DJ Stagner barely avoids it, and it looks like Scott Puckett barely does too. Colton Gardner, Tyler Hampton does get a little bit of it, and Jason Harris has to come to a standstill. Now, yellow flags out for the second time, and what was a full-on assault throughout the first 60 laps, pushing through to this point. Come now, a bit of a standstill here in Daytona. Lights are out, save for the stadium lighting around the circuit, and now 8 laps to go. We are due to go back green with some 5 laps remaining. Pit road's an option. Who will take it? Looks like most drivers will not. We got a little bit of time in between laps of green flag racing, so instead of a promotional break, we'd once again like to draw our focus to the attention of tonight's broadcast, which lies, of course, in commemorating Courtney Baadte. For those of you who didn't tune in to open up the broadcast, tonight's broadcast, this event and the season are dedicated to Courtney Baadte, who passed away at 34 years of age after a years-long battle with stage 4 colon cancer. The Highline Racing League has vehemently stood against cancer in all forms for several years now, and the second half of the year always gives us the opportunity to not only put on our perfect pin schemes and of course go forth going against breast cancer, but now with a personal friend of the community display. Courtney Baadte going to be one of those who are kept in our hearts heavily throughout the entire season. So we of course ask of you, if you are to be watching this broadcast tonight, check out links, resources to support those fighting against cancer. We left some of which in regards to this particular situation, and to our knowledge now, the donations for the Baadte family have surpassed the targeted goal by over $1,500. Once again, the community working wonders, both FTN and beyond, the personal realm as well, and we once again are here in commemoration of Courtney Baadte and the CourtneyStrong 175 will go on for just a few more laps, but the memory, of course, will kept on throughout the season. Make sure to stay tuned with us throughout the campaign as we'll continue with up-to-date messaging regarding throughout the entirety of the event, standing up against cancer, and we hope you tune in throughout the rest of the season as we continue our progress and make it towards September, October, the months where pink is in session years round. Sebastian Miller, 83 machine, leads the way. Scott Zellner going to be second, and Dylan Poteet's in third, with Caleb Morrissey there in fourth, and Ty Smith is position number 5. Double file once again in the number 83 of Sebastian Miller has a chance to do something on FTN he has never done before. Win his closest finish on the network, second place, got stolen from him. He ended up finishing in third. It was USA International Speedway just about 2 months ago. He, Jacob Fife, and of course, going up against him, eventual race winner, Braxton DeWeese. Miller was so close on that night, and ever since then, he's been looking for his next chance, that next opportunity, looking to take the big leap. He's in a great position now, but so is Dylan Poteet. How about Ty Smith there, right up in third? Scott Zellner, the former champion and the all-time winningest driver, looking to get it done in what I would say is one of our most prestigious races on the season. The opener matters the most of all else for many drivers. And for Zellner, I'm sure he'd like to, of course, cross that one off the list. 6 laps to go. The iRacing pace car's lights are off for what could be the final time. Dylan Baadte coming to the chat room, Shelly Babinchak, of course, with thoughts and prayers, and It's great to see, of course, Dylan coming through. Among many iRacing accolades, 2023 Pain of the Year, a key member of the Highline Racing League community, and of course, to have confirmation you're here with us watching, it means a great deal. Thank you, Dylan, for stopping by. We hope to see a little bit more of you as the season goes on here, whether you're viewing or if eventually you get back in there in the cockpit. It'll be a great sight to see. Now, the sight to see is in Daytona. As we come off the high banks of 3 and 4, it's Seb Miller and Dylan Baadte up on top, first and second, the leaders that will bring us back in for 5 final laps. A crab-walking driver in the back of the field looks to be Kendall Kerr, but the rest of the field is staying straight, and they're ready to roll once again. Green flag to get back into motion with Sebastian Miller leading the way. He's got there right beside him, Dylan Baadte, and we're on the move for our second restart. Miller leads us through, blocking both lanes. Sebastian gets the advantage here, front of the field in the number 83, only briefly. Now Dylan Baadte going to be up in front. Let's see what happens now for Baadte in the 31 as he's going to leave Scott Zellner up on top with some of his 4 horseman teammates, Caleb Morrissey, and also there's Ryan Potter checking up on the Swamp Motorsports crew. It looks like Ryan Potter still the best hope for that team to come away with the victory tonight. DJ Stagner going to be mired back in 15th. Contact again! Third yellow flag. We are going to overtime. Yellow flag's going to be out once again. It's going to be another massive incident. This time maybe of a lesser scale, but still drivers involved at a quick rate, and still some of which coming through. Caution is out, and calamity. Looks like Kenny Brooks got a piece of this one. Let's take a look back here, and we're going to put together our third instant replay. 4 laps to go. We are pacing yet again. So, take a look at what just happened here. Middle of the pack and then on back is where things got dicey. You see Roberto Ramirez with Brooks in there. 3 wide. Middle, hanging in there is going to be Jimmy McKee. And as they come out of turn 4, well, looks like a little bit of weaving and bobbing, but nothing too major. And then there's Casey Heschel. So the incident begins at which points? Let's find out. Contact Bozzy, then Jimmy McKee. They both come down and in. Ramirez could have avoided that one, but instead gets back into Kenny Brooks. Brooks gets into Scott Wheeler. Dalton Beer's there too. Casey Heschel drifts down and away, and Beer gets a bad piece there with the number 54. And unfortunately, maybe that could have been avoidable. Either way, bad news as the third yellow flag of the day here comes in the final 15 laps. An overtime finish is guaranteed, and Sebastian Miller leads the way up in front. Two laps to green this time by majority of the field deciding not to go down a pit road, and once again a little bit of time to spare. So we got a few more things to talk about. How about we talk about that schedule a little bit more in depth? Randomized schedule. I think for a lot of the viewers, we didn't break it down fully. Let's explain exactly what we're looking at here. This schedule will come down in many ways to a wheel spin. We have a pretty fair understanding of exactly what it should look like. Doesn't mean it's going to exactly look that way, but a majority of which should be very similar to what's presented here. Traditionally, we have multiple short tracks, intermediate tracks, super speedways, and everything in between. But now it's going to be a little bit of a random pool where a spinning wheel quite literally will determine what track we go to. Drivers will not have the opportunity to prepare in advance. They'll have to rely on, in many cases, prior knowledge, and this could also improve the competition level. There will be nobody really coming in with much of an advantage because this is a fixed racing series, so you get what you get, and there's no way to re-roll the dice here. It's going to be exciting to see how drivers approach this brand new challenge. The only thing they had guaranteed for them, it was Daytona, and you could say that Auto Club or Michigan, they're pretty similar to speedways, but otherwise, everything is all up in the air, and it could be a completely different season one way or another. One race or another could determine everything. It's not a fixed schedule, but it surely is going to get locked down by the time it's season's end, and we'll see how good that schedule comes out, as it could be completely a wild card schedule or something a little bit more traditional. Last season, we went to some normal circuits. We had a few of which were not traditional. Montreal, Kern County, just to name a few, but the usual. Something like Auto Club, Michigan. How about Watkins Glen in season 15? We've seen Daytona a few times. Auto Club has come through, as well as Michigan, as we mentioned. Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond, many tracks we've gone to multiple times. But tonight, Daytona gets a chance again as the opener. Season 18 has come back with 40-plus drivers, but now only 20-some prevail. Not many, and we'll see if they even can get to the white flag. Here's how it goes down. 2 laps are still left on the table. We get to the white flag under any circumstance, the race will end. We're at lap 69 right now, and we'll take one more nice caution-free lap to get us to lap number 71 when we go back to green. That's, of course, not a guarantee that we get to the white flag. If we do not, well, no matter what, the race ends. This is it. It's our one-of-one attempt. So expect the leaders to be driving a little bit harder than if it were to be 3 green, white, checkered attempts. This is do or die, and the race could end 500 feet from the checkered flag. It could end at the checkered flag when we get to lap number 71. There's nothing for certain now, but we do know one thing. Scott Zellner, the old champion, the winningest driver, has himself in control with Dylan Poteet right there beside him. It's going to be 2 by 2 to roll out to the white flag, and everyone has hopes of making it to the final 2.5 miles, but there's never a guarantee, regardless of where we start, regardless of where we finish. It's going to be a completely different place in 2 laps' time than what you're seeing now. The iRacing official pace car will not come back out tonight. The field controls their destiny here in Daytona. Coming through the front straightaway with 2 laps remaining. Massive jump there from Scott Zellner as the control car. We're back underway. Green flags out, and it's going to be Zellner up on top of Dylan Poteet, already getting the race lead. Middle of the field tends to be a little bit calmer in circumstances like this, and you can see now Dylan Poteet getting that support from Ty Smith to jump out of the race lead. Number 31 of Poteet getting the help, and now Trap House up in front, first and second, and Dylan, their flagship driver, looking for his 3rd career win, is up and ahead. He'll block up high on Scott Zellner to no avail. Instead, Zellner gets a better run. It's the 4 horsemen now stuck together. Caleb Morrissey and Zellner alike. They're now first and second, and Scott came from 22nd up to this point. He is not looking to give it up. Sebastian Miller goes down to the inside, and Seb Miller now having a chance to lead to the white flag will get turned. Everyone wrecks. Who's going to come to the line in front? It looks like Ty Smith. Will it be? To be confirmed, Ty Smith or Alan Kunman. It looks like, for now, it is Ty Smith. Officials were confirming, and we'll get official word, but Ty Smith looks like the winner at Daytona. This is an official replay of the session anyway. What's the decision will be determined. So, if we look on board here and look for the caution lights, Ty Smith was clearly ahead at the time of the caution. As the dust settles behind him, Ty Smith will win in Daytona. They're wrecking Caleb Morrissey, Dylan Wedgwood, but it's no matter. Ty Smith tonight, he played the silent assistant to Dylan Poteet. If anything were to happen, he would be the man, the backup man, waiting in the wings, hoping that something would happen as he lurked in the shadows, and it looks like that patience prevailed above all else tonight. Smith will now come out of turn 4, avoiding the chaos and finding his way out of trouble, and tonight he's a race winner again. Coming through the checkered flag, the pace car comes out, but this time only in congratulatory form, leading the field one by one back to the start-finish line, and after 70-plus hard-fought laps, Ty Smith is a winner in the Highline Racing League. Checkered flag is his at Daytona, his first from the World Center of Racing. Ty Smith, he led 7 laps, and most importantly, he led the final one. What a finish. Take a look back right now and we'll show you again exactly how that finish came down. And you can see there Seb Miller destroyed after leading 26 laps on the day. Well, take a little bit further back and you'll see just what happened as Ty Smith got hit, and yet he still finds himself the winner. Well, take a look at why. And there's Seb Miller even still. Ty Smith, as it stands, was getting away by this point. As we take it back to the moment, or the entire lap, you'll see Smith was pushing well with Dylan Poteet there in the number 18 machine, and everyone came loose coming out of 4, and that's what did him in. Everyone stacks up and shuffles coming into 2, maybe an indication of what's next, but for that point anyway, everyone stayed calm. Working down the back straightaway, Dylan wasn't able to block there, and that's really what did him in, I felt. It almost looked like it did Ty Smith. Look at how the outside line gets destroyed. There's no momentum there, and so Seb Miller decides to go under, and Sebastian, well, he decided to be a little bit risky with this one, and this is where they all come undone. Zellner from Caleb Morrissey into Dylan Poteet, then to Ty Smith, and Smith just kept going and going and going no matter what. And as everyone wrecks right behind, Ty Smith is a winner here in Daytona. And what a fantastic picture to look back on here. Everyone's destroyed, and yet Ty Smith prevails. Race results from the night's event: Smith winning from second place, Scott Zellner, and third, and Scott Wheeler, with Allen coming in fourth, Adam Bosney fifth, Jimmy McKee sixth, and Casey Heschel then in seventh. It'll be eighth place for DJ Stagner and Dalton Beer in eighth, with ninth spot going to Tyler Snyder, and 10th position, of course, there's Snyder with Dalton Beer. DJ Stagner coming home in eighth. Casey Heschel making it up to 7th. With all things said and done, not a bad run there for the 49 crew. J.R. Houston going to be 11th. Then you'll see 12th is going to be Austin Bloom. Dylan Wedgwood's going to come away with a 13th spot as Matthew Rodriguez is in 14th. And Chad Winstead in the 15th position. 16th place is going to be Brad Kress. And then you'll see Terry Brooks in 17th. With Mike Tellier 18th. Roberto Ramirez 18th. And Seb Miller then in 20th, Ramirez 19th rather, when all is said and done. Roberto Ramirez, the final driver on the lead lap, and the first man one lap down, Sebastian Miller. 21st place then from there, well, you'll have to look a little bit further back. Caleb Morrissey, after that daring move, didn't work out. He finishes 21st with Colton Gardner 22nd, Kendall Kerr 23rd, Dylan Poteet in 24th, and then 25th in Ryan Potter. 26th is Jason Harris with Tyler Hampton in 27th. 28th is Michael Deitch, and 29th goes then to Kenny Brooks. 30th of which on the field tonight is Jacob Hamm. 31st place. Then as we look even deeper, this is a 41-car field, mind you. We're not done yet. 31st is going to be Matt Muir, and Lucas Lodato is going to be then from there in 32nd. 33rd, Robert Kenny. Dawson Buchanan is going to be in 34th, and Toby Wedgwood is 35th. Derek Fowler comes home in the 36th position, with Matt Owens then from there in 37th. 38th to Dylan Barons, and Scott Puckett in 39th. Connor Holden rounds out the top 40, and then from there, Corey Blevins, the 41st and final driver on the day. Ty Smith tonight, what a performance. 14th on the grid, had to make up 13 spots to get here, and he hung on, leading 7 laps. It looks like tonight Ty Smith had pace up in front, but I don't think anyone had him as perhaps the favorite to win and the pick to get it done when all was said and done. Well, tonight, defying the odds and proving the numbers don't quite matter. what happened on the track, that's what matters the most. And Ty Smith exceeded and succeeded tonight. His win, well, earned and then some, having to avoid all the chaos that happened right around him. We'll get a word from all your top 3 drivers, and we'll be kicking it off first, of course, with Ty Smith. Let's get the number 18 in the broadcast booth momentarily here. We'll also have Scott Zellner and Scott Wheeler stop by. The Flying Scotsman double up on the podium tonight, but I'm sure they would have loved for it to be a 1-2 rather than the eventual 3-4 that they both received. And now, everyone going to be settled in. Let's get a word from the number 18 of Ty Smith. Looks like he is available for comment, and so we'll bring him with us as soon as possible. It looks like soon has become now. The number 18 of Ty Smith has done it in the biggest stage in the Highline Racing League. Checkered flag is his, and now we've got your race winner standing right beside us. Ty Smith, you avoided the carnage, you kept yourself up in front, and even with the overtime in mind, and even though you got hit, you just kept rolling, and that's what gets you in a victory lane to kick off the year. What a performance that was.
Oh yeah, man, that was pretty fun. The seas just kind of parted right there, and then somehow I was able to save it and make it through. That was definitely pretty exciting.
And it was an exciting race to watch from start to finish. And of course, we saw you up there, Dylan Poteet, among many others, for Team Trap House Racing at the head of the field. How was it for you in those first 60 laps? First off, let's break down when it was all about strategy, because you kept yourself up there based on that as well.
Yeah, we just try to keep it straight, and we just kind of I didn't want to really get up front. Had the plan to just kind of ride in the back, but I ended up just kind of slowly, just methodically working my way up there, and it all worked out. I was able to lead a few laps during the race, and and we were able to stay up there with Sebi and with Dylan Poteet and Ryan and all them, and we usually all work well together, and it all worked out for us.
And everything came together just right, especially for you there, working with Dylan at the tail end. It wasn't really something you could plan, avoiding that final incident. But what did it take for you inside the cockpit anyway to just navigate through and not end up in trouble?
Just a lot of just trying not to spin the car. I knew I was gonna get hit when I saw Zoner get turned there, and I just tried to keep it straight. And luckily, I was able to see the seas kind of part, and was able to just sneak right by, and luckily not spin out, and got back to the line first, or got at least got first when the caution came out, and that's it. I don't usually win races like that. That's the first for me when the seas just kind of parred, but I'll take them how I can get them.
You know what? That's exactly what it comes down to. The perfect way to get the season started is with the checkered flag. Now, randomized schedule means we don't quite know what is up next on the calendar. However, what we're understanding is it's going to be a unique track. So we got a lot of options on the table. Regardless, you've got to win here. It's a great feeling to have. What's it going to take to roll this momentum into the remainder of the campaign?
I honestly can't answer that question for you. I'm kind of a ringer when it comes to the super speedways, and kind of just take them how I can get them. But it should be fun. It should be a fun season for everyone, and just I probably won't be in contention to win many races, but hopefully DJ, Ryan, Connor, hopefully they'll be in contention, and I'll cheer for them when I'm running 20th. But it's all in fun. I love this league, and it's good fun of everything. So.
And a great job tonight here from Daytona. Ty Smith, the victor in this circuit, the World Center of Racing. If you have any final comments or shout-outs you'd like to make, the floor is yours.
I just want to thank everyone at Swamp Motorsports, Ryan Potter, Connor Holden. I know he blew up earlier in the race, and he wasn't able to stay up there with us, but I want to thank him. DJ Stagner, he wasn't really a factor tonight, which is kind of a surprise for him, but yeah, and I want to thank Sebi, Sebastian Miller, and Dylan Poteet. We always work well with them. And I just want to also give a shout out to Dylan Baadte and with Courtney. And they're definitely thinking about her. And I want to dedicate this win to Dylan and Courtney. And definitely he's a good friend of mine, and we're definitely thinking about him.
And tonight, the entire field racing with a cause and a dedicated victory at that. Ty Smith, the number 18 team, we thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Smith on the way tonight. The Flying Scotsman come home in second and third, and the veteran of which, who's got the most victories in series history, is the man who comes runner-up. Talk about big movers. The top three, only one of which started inside of the top 15. Only two of which started inside of the top 25. And Scott Zellner started today in 22nd. Let's hear from the man who, of course, is a multi-time winner, a champion at that, and tonight he finds himself second on the day, starting in the mid-20s and making your way up to the podium here in Daytona. Oh, so close to what could have been.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure if I even still got second. I thought they were still deliberating the finish, but yeah, a bit of a bummer to get wrecked coming to the white. Not sure what happened. Caleb, I took the top to get my teammate behind me, and Caleb said he just got pushed by the 99, and that turned me into the 83. But yeah, it's these super speedway tracks when you're coming down to the end of it, nobody's gonna lift, and chaos ensues.
And chaos at the very end. We saw caution after caution in those final 10 laps, which surely changed everyone's strategy. Saw you and Caleb Morrissey linked up together. How did you guys stick together there in those final laps, even despite all the madness?
Yeah, all the scenarios that were going to happen, and we wanted to make sure we were lined up nose to tail. Because if you're going to trust anybody, you're going to trust your teammate. We had a decent plan, and it was executed pretty well, but you just can't control everybody else around you. But honestly, if second place stands at a super speedway for me, it's actually pretty good. I'm usually not one to finish these races. Much more of a mile and a half guy. So I'm looking forward to continuing the schedule here for season 18.
And yep, season 18, it's a schedule of most often unknowns, and that's one thing we've seen you strive and, of course, thrive upon, the unknown. The Gen 4 championship you had, put together a very solid season last year as well, but I'm sure your eyes are once again on the championship. We don't quite know what track we're going up next to. How do you feel about that and the randomized schedule in mind?
Honestly, I love it because I show up when the session opens, and that's when I can practice. I don't really get time inside the sim outside of Thursday nights here with Highline, and with the talent level with these group of guys, it's really hard to get any wins that you can. So I'm definitely looking forward to the randomized schedule. I think it's beautiful that it's back. I do have a vacation planned in the middle of this season, so I'm not going to be here every week, but I'm looking forward to hopefully running well enough to contend for another championship, and at the very least, I would really like to get one or two more wins on the season.
Chasing the checkered flag and only one spot short tonight here, Scott. Second on the day. Overall, very solid run for the team. If there are any last messages you'd like to give out, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, first and foremost, our thoughts are with Dylan, with what happened to him this summer. Our thoughts are with you, my friend. I also want to shout out to my family. Grandmother just had surgery, so hopefully the recovery is going well. All my family watching, thank you, and as always, thank you to my Four Horsemen teammates. Can't ask for a better group of guys. I'm really glad to be back in the sim, and I'm really looking forward to racing every Thursday.
And it's great to have the Highline Racing League back for full-time competition in Season 18. Scott Zellner, great way to kick off your campaign. Second on the day here from Daytona. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, David. Hopefully I'm talking to you more this season.
And Scott Zellner on the way. We got one more Scott we'd love to hear from. 32nd up to third. Relatively anonymous as the race went on, but tonight, silence doesn't mean a problem. Scott, you were as low as 38th as this race progressed, and you got up to third in the very last lap. A podium perhaps even you didn't expect. How about walking us through this one? Because it seems like, unlike most races, you were quite silent there and still came away with a great result.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really walk you through what the race was. I qualified very poorly. That threw me off. But for the beginning, with 40 cars, it was just kind of seeing how everybody raced, be cautious. And then eventually I was able to work with Bloom to get ourselves in position. We had some close calls when the pit cycles came, but ultimately made a really good pit strategy and got us right back to the front. So once we were there, it was kind of just doing what we do and hoping for the best.
And it looks like tonight, hoping for the best in those very, very intense final 10 laps got you up there to the point of having a chance for a podium. But we saw tonight the first 60-some laps dictated entirely by the green flag running. Qualifying, of course, not the strong suit of this race for you anyway, starting in the mid-30s and whatnot. What did it take to have to stick in there, even if you were further on back, to try to find some success?
Yeah, I think it was just patience. Not pushing the limit, too early. Overall, I think we all did a really good job of not pushing it 3 wide when we didn't need to. We ran a really, obviously, pretty good race for 60 something laps. The end is just, that's how restrictor plates are. But just patience and, getting together for the pit strategy. I mean, that's always the biggest thing with these races. You can't really control a whole lot except for that. So, kind of lucked out with the finish, but we'll take it to start the season.
Now, with the season only just beginning, Scott, third place setting you up with some good momentum alongside your four horsemen teammates who seem to stick together all throughout this event. Now, we don't have all super speedways on the schedule, but I'm sure the team-oriented focus might be one that gets you guys to more solid, successful performances. You think it's going to take a little bit more cooperation, as we saw tonight, to get you guys up there for whatever track we have next week?
I don't know. I think. I mean, we always talk strategy really well together. We work through the entire race together as far as what, we feel is best or what we need to do. But I think this format is going to really level the playing field for a lot. There's a bunch of great drivers in here. There's just some that can't quite put the time into practicing. So the roulette is definitely going to, really bring out the just hop in and get the on track, like who can get familiar with the track soonest and go from there. So I think that suits us really well. Looking at the schedule, I think we all within the team have tracks that we'll excel at. Obviously, we know what dirt looks like, so we'll see. We'll just try to have a better season than last season for sure.
And looking to keep on improving. Scott Wheeler, third on the day from 32nd, a 29-spot gain, and the biggest of all throughout the field. If you have any last words or final messages, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, first I just want to, send my thoughts out to Dylan Baadte. He does a lot for the league. He's one of the greatest painters I've seen on this service. Obviously a rough off season for him. It's really cool to be a part of the salute that we did at the beginning of the race, and then always run that, the CourtneyStrong thing. So we're always thinking about him. I know he was watching tonight, and hopefully we put on a good show. My teammates, can't thank them enough. I can't enjoy it any more than I do on Thursdays. It's a blast racing with them. We do a great job just communicating. It really just feels like a family. And then everybody that puts on the league. It's a long off season, but came together for the highest car count I've seen in a long time. And hopefully we can keep that up throughout the season.
And we're looking to, of course, see one of the biggest competitive fields in Season 18. And Scott, right back up in front where you belong. Third place on the day here from Daytona. We thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Now, Scott Wheeler on the move, third on the day for Wheeler. Four Horsemen Racewing. Well, they came through dominating the podium, but not getting the win. Third for Scott Wheeler, second for Scott Zellner, but your winner, Ty Smith, from 14th up to first. Fantastic performance for the number 18, and one to, of course, keep in mind all season long is we could see these unexpected underdog performances from beginning to end with a brand new randomized schedule, allowing for a little bit more variety in who's up there, who wins, and when they get up there. Next season is still a little bit of a mystery, but we head our next race to a unique track. It could be many circuits of many styles, and it's always going to be one of a kind when we say unique. The race, well, we'll figure out what it is on Thursday, but it's going to be same time, same place, live on FTN here and of course, as it's always been, for Season 18 coverage exclusively. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. We hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series has returned. We'd like to thank Westlake for their continued support in their second season as the primary partner of this league, and the Highline Racing League for bringing back such a competitive, very exciting indeed, field of drivers that we look to find more of. Race in, race out. More excitement for each and every event. And we'd like to conclude once again this broadcast in commemoration of Courtney Baadte and sending our deepest condolences once more to the Baadte family. Thank you all for tuning in, and of course, we hope you visit the continued fight against cancer of all forms. Live on FTN, we've continued throughout the Highline Racing League's existence to fight against all forms of cancer, and we leave you with this message as we look forward to the rest of the campaign, commemorating and of course honoring the life of Courtney Baadte. Thank you all for watching live on FTN, and we hope you have a fantastic night.